Right. Welcome to the third mock exam discussion session. So as always, we are starting off with the multiple choice paper. And as time permits, I might touch on a few key areas in the second paper, that is the structured paper. Our main focus will be to get through the 50 questions of the MCQ paper. Some questions we will take more time and analyze a bit more. Certain questions where the answer is pretty straightforward, I will directly discuss the answer and we will move on. Okay? Right. So with that, let's get going. So let me bring on the MCQ paper, right? Let me share the MCQ paper with you guys. And with that, let's start. Okay? Hopefully by now, okay, you guys can see the MCQ paper on your screen. Okay? If there is any issue, let me know. Right. So audio is clear and the screen sharing is proper. So with that, I think we are good to go. Right. So let's start with the first question. Which of the following is a normative macroeconomic statement? So there are two things to touch here. One is it has to be a normative statement. So it has to be a statement that suggests a certain value judgment. It has to be subjective. It has to carry an opinion, right? Normative statement. And next, it has to also ensure, or it has to be a question where it's talking about a macroeconomic variable or a macroeconomic issue. So considering both of those points, I think you guys will agree with me. The correct answer here is the fifth statement where we say Central Bank of Sri Lanka sharply increasing interest rates was the correct policy during the 2022 crisis. So it's an opinion, and the word that makes it normative is here correct. Okay. And on the other hand, it's macroeconomic because it's talking about interest rates, which doesn't affect one business or one market, but the overall economy. So answer number 5. Okay. As always, any other option, any other answer, or any other option you guys want me to explain particularly, then let me know. Question 2. Which of the following concepts indicates the different ecosystem services important? There's a word missing here. To make human life inhabitable on Earth, to ensure that we can live. There's an environment, ecosystem. There are certain services, ecosystem services that are required. The concept that we are talking about here is not natural resources. It's included within natural resources, but it's a specific concept, not land. Land is the extractable natural resources. We are talking about natural capital. Natural capital. If you guys want me to explain any other option, let me know. Productive efficiency implies the use of the least cost techniques of production. Sounds relatively correct. Let's quickly go to the other answers. Allocating resources to produce the product mix most wanted by society is allocative efficiency. Allocative efficiency. Then the full employment of all available resources. There are two issues. One, it's only one of the criteria or the sub conditions to achieve productive efficiency. It also requires full production. Second thing is full employment of all available resources. It's a bit of a literal thing. It's a bit impractical because we look at sustainability. We should always try to employ the available and suitable resources, thinking about sustainability. Number 4, production at the point inside no. If we have achieved productive efficiency, we will be on the PPF. and we will not be able to increase the output of one product without decreasing the output of the other, which means there is essentially a trade-off and resulting opportunity cost. A technological improvement in which labor is substituted with capital. Technological improvement in which labor is substituted with capital. Basically, technology improvements, and when we use more capital, our productivity will increase, and that could lead to overall a reduction in the cost of production. But productive efficiency talks about the ability to produce the maximum output using the minimum inputs, which will result in least cost of production. So if you want to be productively efficient, what you're trying to do is whatever the resources you have and the technology you have, you try to use it to make sure cost is minimized. So in that sense, I'm going to go with answer number one. If you guys want me to explain any option, let me know. Any other option, let me know. Yes. So question number three, productive efficiency does not essentially indicate the use of the least cost techniques, but productive efficiency, the most accurate definition of productive efficiency is producing at the lowest cost. Productive efficiency in many textbooks or in economics, we identify productive efficiency as cost efficiency. That is to produce at the lowest cost. So whichever the technique, whichever the method that helps us produce at the lowest cost is helping us attain productive efficiency. Got it? Full employment of resources is one of the conditions of productive efficiency, right? But sometimes, even with full employment, we might not be at productive efficiency if there is a lack of full production. If we are not producing at the normal, if you're not using the resources at their normal rate and attaining that productivity the resources have. What do you think? Are we okay? Right. So, yeah. So with that, we move on to the fourth question. Any other? No. Okay. In an economic system where the consumers determine what is produced in the economy through their demand, which attribute is optimized. If consumers are having the dominant or the domination or the authority to decide what is to be produced, which producers are in the market, which producers will exit the market, yes, then definitely we are in a competitive market where there is perfect information, which also means that we have consumer sovereignty. Right. Any other option you want me to explain? Let me know. Question 5. Which one of the following can be assumed constant when a demand schedule is drawn up for a normal good? When we draw up a demand schedule for a normal good, what do we assume constant? Basically, whether it's a demand schedule or a demand curve, if not function, or demand equation, are three methods of representing, explaining law of demand. Okay, representing law of demand, implying law of demand. So when we define law of demand, we fundamentally assume the price of the given product is subject to change, increase or decrease, while all other factors other than price remain constant. Which of the following cannot be assumed constant, meaning price changes, all other factors remain constant. So what is the correct answer here? The answer is not directly given, but indirectly given. Indirectly, we talk about price. Price, marginal benefit, marginal utility. Got it? Correct answer number 5. Any other option you want me to explain? Let me know. Question 6. What is the likely effect of an increase in the price of a close substitute good for a product? Increase in the price of a close substitute means substitute prices and the demand for the product under consideration have a positive relationship. If the price of the substitute increases, the demand for the product under consideration will also increase. And because it's a close substitute, there might be a much bigger response increase. Okay? So if that happens, the demand curve will shift to the right. The demand curve of the given product shall shift to the right. So I can see an answer here. A rightwards shift of the product's demand curve cannot be expansion of demand. That means an increase in quantity demanded, movement of a point downwards along the demand curve, which indicates a change in price. But here it is not the price of the product that has changed, it is the price of a substitute good that has changed. Any other answer you want me to, option you want me to explain, let me know. Question 7. A product for which the Engel curve is negatively sloped. The Engel curve looks at the variables of income and demand. So if the Engel curve is downward sloping, negatively sloped, that means the income demand relationship is negative. So this product is obviously an inferior good, right? The substitution effect of a price change is inferior to the income effect. So I've used the word that you might think is a clue, but you shouldn't understand the word inferior here as inferior good. What I'm saying is substitution effect is weaker, lower than the income effect. So we are talking about an inferior good where the income effect is more powerful than the substitution effect. This will indicate, right? Relatively price inelastic in demand is that information you can take into your analysis, or even without that we can come to the final conclusion, right? Which means this is a given good. Okay, this is a given good. So the correct answer for question 7 should be number 5. Not number 1. It's not just an inferior good. It's a special type of an inferior good known as given good. Question 8. Which of the following is true of the substitution effect for a fall in price of a normal good? Substitution effect of a normal good. Substitution effect of any good is negative in line with law of demand. For a normal good, the substitution effect is negative, and it will support, or it will be equal in power, equal in dominance power to the income effect, which will be positive, right? Okay, so the correct answer for question 8 should be number 2. It works to reinforce the negative price effect. Question 9. Again, Buddha, I keep telling you this, reminding you this. So sometimes I might not say it, but if you want me to explain any other option, please let me know. While the law of supply focuses on the question 9, while the law of supply focuses on the relationship between price and quantity supplied, the theory of supply looks at the relationship between supply and which of the factors? Theory of supply and all the factors affecting supply, including price. So the correct answer is number 5, price and other factors other than price, theory of supply. Question 10. The market supply curve for a particular good shall slope upwards because. The word is because. I'm not asking what is implied, but what would actually cause the supply curve to shift. What would actually cause the supply curve to be upward sloping. So I'm not asking for the law of demand, or I'm not The answer is not law of demand. Supply curve upward sloping indicates law of demand. But why is it happening? Or because, meaning you have to give the reasons for law of demand. Law of diminishing returns is definitely one thing that will decide law of demand. Then law of returns to scale, no. The law of diminishing marginal utility, no, that's a law of demand, not law of supply. Okay, we are looking at, sorry, law of supply. The law of increasing marginal opportunity cost. Now, actually what happens is, we explain the law of increasing marginal opportunity cost. One reason we give for the law of increasing marginal opportunity cost is the law of diminishing returns. One is the non-homogeneity of resources. The other reason is the law of diminishing returns. So, number 5 would be the more comprehensive answer, which will include the law of diminishing returns. Anything you want me to explain, let me know. Number 1 is definitely not the answer. Okay? Be very careful with these questions. I'm not asking what is implied by the supply curve being upward sloping. I'm asking why is it upward sloping. Then I'm asking the reasons for law of supply. Question 11. Which of the following would cause the market supply equation of a product to change from QS equals minus 150 plus 2P to QS equals minus 100 plus 2P? So we have gone from minus 150 to minus 100. So this clearly indicates there is a whatward shift. There is a rightwards shift of the supply curve, which means there is an increase in supply. So what would explain an increase in supply? What would explain an increase in supply? You can see number 2, a decrease in the cost of production. Decrease in the cost of production. We are okay? Question 12. Which of the following indicates that X and Y are normal goods and substitutes? X and Y have to be normal goods and substitutes. If it's normal good, both the income elasticity have to be positive. So any answer that has a negative value for either X or Y is incorrect. So this is out. This is out. Right. So then if it's close substitutes, the cross price elasticity of demand, number 1 has to be positive, number 2 has to be elastic, more than 1. Right? So this is positive, but it is less than 1 inelastic. This is more than 1 but negative. So this is also out, meaning number 2 is out. Number 3 we have eliminated already. Then number 4 inelastic, so that's eliminated. Number 5 positive YED and positive and elastic XED or CPED. The correct answer should be number 5. Okay? Correct answer should be number 5 for question 12. Yes, there's a question. So in question 10, is the rise in marginal cost of production is one of the reasons for the law of increasing marginal opportunity cost? No, rise in marginal cost of production is another way to say increase in opportunity cost, or basically cost in economics is opportunity cost. Now, when your professor was asked this question, what is the most correct way to explain law of supply, or why the supply curve is upward sloping, the answer given was the most theoretical, the most technically correct way to explain the reason for increasing opportunity cost is the marginal cost increasing. Okay, so the marginal cost increase is fundamentally because cost in economics is opportunity cost. We are talking about the law of increasing marginal opportunity cost. So that is explained with two sub-reasons. That is the non-homogeneity of resources and then the diminishing returns argument. When it comes to the second main reason, that is the profit potential or the producers, profit motive. That is, your professor says it's a more practical way to explain law of supply, and it is only correct if we are talking about a product in a market economy. In a market economy, in a capitalist thinking, we talk about profits. So I hope I answered your question. Right. Okay. So next, question 13. If the total revenue, okay, question 13, if the total revenue of a firm increases by 10% as a result of an increase of price by 20%. So understand what has happened here is you're not given the information about the price and quantity demanded. You're given the information about the change in price and total revenue. Right. So prices increased by 20%. Total revenue has also increased. First thing is both are increasing. So there is that positive relationship. Is that clear? And price has increased by 20%. Total revenue has increased by 10%. But more than the percentages, both are increasing. Price increases, total revenue increases. Positive relationship. Where do we see a positive relationship? We see a positive relationship if the product is inelastic or perfectly inelastic. Inelastic or perfectly inelastic. Then one could argue, why is answer number 5? There, we don't see the increase in total revenue by the same percentage as the increase in price. So it cannot be perfectly inelastic, it's inelastic. Correct answer is number 1. Correct answer is number 1. Okay. Question 14. The diagram below shows 4 market supply curves. Which statement is correct about the price elasticity of the curves? Okay, so it shows, let's see, S1, S2, S3, S4. Can you guys quickly tell me what these elasticities are? Just before we look at the answers. S1, if anyone can unmute the microphone and tell me. What is S1 supply curve? Elastic, inelastic, unitary, perfectly, what? S1 supply curve? No? Anyone can also unmute the microphone and answer my question? No? Can't? S1 supply curve is intersecting the price axis first on the positive side, and it will intersect the quantity axis eventually on the negative side. It's relatively elastic or elastic supply. S2 is unitary elastic, am I right? Because it's starting at the point of origin. S3 is intersecting the quantity on the positive, eventually price on the negative, inelastic. S4 perfectly inelastic. Yeah, okay? Perfectly inelastic. Right. So, are we okay with that? Right. In supply, even if you don't use that term relatively elastic, relatively inelastic, it's okay. Because the entire supply curve is elastic or inelastic. In demand, we just use that word because the entire demand curve cannot be elastic or inelastic. We use a word like relatively elastic, relatively inelastic. Get it? Right. So the correct answer for question 14 is, yeah, number 1. S1 has decreasing elasticity as price increases. Now, it's not only about knowing the curve is elastic and inelastic, but the behavior along the curve, right? So, elastic supply curves, always the PES coefficient will be greater than 1. Always the PES coefficient will be greater than 1. But even though the PES coefficient is greater than 1, in elastic supply curve, as price and quantity increases, which means as we go upwards along the supply curve, the PES value keeps decreasing. Keeps decreasing. Right. Any other answer you want me to explain? Let me know. With that, question 15. Setting an effective price ceiling would possibly, so the correct answer is number 2. Increase consumer surplus and decrease producer surplus. Question 16. If the government imposes a tax on the product of air conditioners, on the production of air conditioners, which of the following will occur in the market for air conditioners? Which will occur in the market for air conditioners? I think the answer I have chosen in the answer grid is number 4. Can someone confirm that? Yeah? Right. Okay. So I'll first explain that, and if there's anything else, let's discuss it as you request. There will be a contraction of demand. Why would this get a contraction of demand? Because with the tax on production or this kind of an excise duty, supply of air cons or air conditioners will decrease. As supply decreases, price will increase. In response to the increase in market price of air conditioners, quantity demanded of air conditioners will decrease, which will be shown as a upwards movement of a point along the demand curve, which is actually the equilibrium point moving upwards along the demand curve, which means contraction of demand. Are we clear? With the diagram, you will easily see that. So, what have we learned in equilibrium analysis? Especially change in equilibrium. When demand increases, equilibrium price increases, equilibrium quantity increases. What is an increase in demand? A rightward shift of the demand curve. But at the same time, there is an expansion of supply, which means the quantity supplied also increases. If demand decreases, equilibrium price decreases, quantity decreases. Okay? Leftward shift of the demand curve. At the same time, contraction of supply happens, quantity supply decreases. Along the supply curve, there's a movement when demand curve shifts. Similarly, when the supply curve shifts, there's a movement along the demand curve. If supply increases, equilibrium price will decrease, quantity will increase, and there is a expansion of demand. If supply decreases, equilibrium price will increase, quantity will decrease, and at the same time, there is a contraction of demand, movement of a point upwards along the demand curve. So we know a simple rule of thumb, that is demand and equilibrium price positively related, supply and equilibrium price negatively related. Demand and supply both have a positive relationship between equilibrium quantity. Right. 17. The diagram below shows the market for an essential consumer product before and after the introduction of a subsidy on production. Before and after subsidy on production. Supply before, supply after subsidy. So you can see that rightward shift has occurred in terms of the supply curve, right? Supply has increased. Question is, what is the total amount of money paid as the subsidy? So the government's subsidy expenditure, okay? Government subsidy expenditure, if you go from L to B, okay, if you go from L to B, Okay, hopefully you guys can see that red color vertical distance. That's basically the amount of the subsidy, the vertical distance between the two supply curves. Then if you look at that distance in terms of the price axis, it will be between A and K. That into O and L, if you do a calculation for this, government subsidy expenditure would be, okay, A minus K, that is the amount of the subsidy, into OQ2, right? So basically, I could simply say OQ2 or simply Q2. So what is the area indicated there? I think number 5, no? KABL, number 5. Okay? This area. Right. If you guys have anything else, you can let me know. Also, using this diagram, see if you can quickly identify uh, consumer benefit, producer benefit, uh, consumer surplus would be difficult because the demand curve doesn't go up to the price axis, or you can definitely identify dead weight loss and things like that. Okay? 18. Assume that good X is sold in a competitive market. Which of the following is true if a unit tax is imposed on the production of good X? If a unit tax is imposed on the production of good X, the consumer's burden of tax rises as the demand curve is less elastic. Now, we are not given any information about the elasticity of demand or supply. But if we assume the demand curve is less elastic, I'm talking about answer number 4, which I'm assuming is what is given as the correct answer also for question 18. Okay. So we know the relationship between elasticity and the tax burden, distribution of the tax burden and the subsidy benefit. If whoever is more elastic, whether it's demanders or suppliers, doesn't matter. Whoever is more elastic will pay less of the tax and get less benefit from the subsidy. Whoever is inelastic will pay more of the tax and will get more benefit from the subsidy. So consumer burden of the tax will rise. Less elastic, ඒ කියන්නේ relatively inelastic. So if consumers are relatively inelastic, yes, they will pay more of the tax. Any other answer or option you want me to explain, let me know. If you are finding it difficult to eliminate, let me know. We are okay? Question 19. So we are moving into unit 4 now. Diminishing marginal returns initially occur when so diminishing marginal returns occur initially, right? So diminishing marginal returns is not there from the very beginning. It happens after a certain point, but when it happens, what is the outcome we will see? That is the question. So I've chosen the correct answer, I hope, as number 3. Marginal product of an input is falling. If diminishing returns are there, marginal product cannot be increasing, it has to start falling. So marginal product curve has to be in this range. And then as you guys know, we have the average product curve. This is MP. So when both marginal product and average product, that is after the point where MP equals AP, definitely in this range, both AP is falling and MP is falling. We have now you are now completely having diminishing returns. But when we experience diminishing returns or while experiencing diminishing returns, The marginal product curve has already started falling. Already started falling. Correct answer number 3. Any answer you guys want me to explain, let me know. Which of the following is, question number 20. Which of the following is an implicit cost for the owner of a small restaurant? Implicit cost for the owner of a small restaurant. Implicit cost, indirect cost. Correct answer for question number 20. I hope I have chosen answer 4. The value placed on the owner's skill in an alternative career. That is, owners basically career ne. We are talking about foregone wages. Okay, foregone wages. Right. Then question 21. Which of the following is true of a perfectly competitive firm in the short run? Perfectly competitive firm in the short run, which is true. The firm is always earning normal profits. That is not true. They can have supernormal profits as well as subnormal economic losses, subnormal profits or economic losses. The firm shuts down. No, that is not just because you're in the short run, you don't shut down, right? And even if you shut down, it's not when the price is below the average total cost. It has to be below average variable cost. Okay. The firm always earns positive economic profits. No, not always supernormal profits will not be there. The firm maximizes profits by producing where the price equals marginal cost. Firm maximizes profits where the price equals marginal cost. Where the price equals marginal cost. No. The firm maximizes profits by producing where the price equals marginal cost. It says marginal revenue. Basically, the profit maximizing condition is MR equals MC. MR is same as AR. AR is same as price. All these are the same. So what is given here is this. That is price equals MR or AR equals MR. But the condition is MR equals MC or price equals MC. That is not given here. That is not given there. Yeah, answer number 5 because the other 4 are incorrect. The firm may earn economic profit or negative profit or normal profit. Yeah, all those are possible in the short run. Ideally, we will see the firm having either supernormal profits or economic losses. Got it? 22. Which of the following is a characteristic of perfectly competitive market structure? So the following is a characteristic of a perfectly competitive market structure. Firm producers, yeah, we can't go beyond the first one. It is a characteristic. Number 1, 22. 23. Consider a firm is operating in a perfectly competitive market. Okay. What will be the effect on the firm's total revenue if it increases its output by 5%? If output is increased by 5%, what will be the impact on the firm's total revenue? Total revenue. Basically, the firm is facing a demand curve that is perfectly elastic. So that means the price doesn't change, same price. They are producing and selling more. So by the amount they are producing more, their revenue should increase. Correct answer number 2. If you guys need any clarification or you want me to explain another choice, let me know. Another option, let me know. We okay? 24. Household units rent or lease their buildings or houses are more appropriately known as. So as a source of revenue, if they basically rent out buildings or houses, what is it known as? We are moving into unit 5, by the way. Quasi corporations, semi corporations. Number 5. Question 24, correct answer should be number 5. It's a basic theory question which we have learned. 25, gross value added, GVA. So what does GVA? Goes without saying. GVA is at basic price. Remember that. Correct answer, question 25 would be the fourth one. Gross domestic product minus net tax on products. Why? GDP is at market price, but GVA is at basic price. So to convert this market price into basic price, you take net tax on products and minus it. Is that clear? Right. Any other choice you want me to, or the option you want me to explain, let me know. You thought was correct. We are okay? Yes or no? Quick responses are very much appreciated. Right. The table presents nominal data on the components of gross domestic product based on expenditure approach for a hypothetical economy. Okay. Assume that the index for GDP deflator of this economy increased from 100 in 2021 to 110 in 2022. What is the growth rate of GDP in 2022? So there are a few steps to go through. First, can you guys, I told you when we started, you need to do work with me. Can you guys give me the nominal GDP, which we simply call GDP, no? Right? Give me the nominal GDP value for 2020 and 2021. Hold on. Yeah, there's a small issue like this. I hope you guys didn't get confused with it. This should be 2021 and this should be 2022. Neither. Otherwise, we have a problem. Okay? The year in the table and year in the question, years in the question don't tally up. So I hope you guys didn't get confused with that. Okay, get me the GDP, Buddha. What is the GDP for 2021? C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Okay? What is GDP? Anyone to unmute the microphone and give a value? No? No one? 2021, my calculations say 1000. Am I right? You all got the same answer, hopefully. 1000. 2022, 1150. Am I correct? 1150. Yeah, 1150. Hurry. So, now we have to convert, right? The real GDP, we have to find the real GDP. Okay, this real GDP is the same. Why? Because the index is 100. So this will be 100,000 divided by 100 multiplied by 100. It's 1000. Now here we have to do a conversion. For 2022, it should be 1150 divided by 1110 into 100. Solve that and tell me what is the value you get. Okay? No? Only chat-based answers. No verbal answers. one of your discussion mates has said 1045. Are we okay? Can someone else also confirm that so that I know all of you guys are doing this work? No? 1045. Okay. Right. Then now we have got the real GDP, that is 1045. So this difference is then 45. So you can give that as a percentage. 45 as a percentage of the 2021 value is 1000. There is a base, no? Into 100. When you solve this, what do you get? 4.5%. Am I right? 4.5%. So the correct answer should be 4.5, number one. Number one. Are we okay? Question 27. Okay. So we went through a step-by-step process. Okay. Right. 27. The value of intermediate goods is not included in the calculation of GDP. Why? Because of what is the reason? Number 5, to avoid counting their value twice, because intermediate goods values are already in the final product value, right? So if you don't minus that, you will overstate the GDP value. Okay? And today we estimate GDP on the basis of value addition. So value addition is gross value of output, GVO, minus intermediate consumption. 28. The circular flow model of an economy with government sector and no international trade households. How do households receive income, or how do we look at how the households get involved in the circular flow model? How households get involved in the circular flow model. If you guys are okay, I think you will agree with me. Number 4, receive income from producers for the use of their factors of production. That's how households will generate their income. No government, no international trade. Harne? So no transfer incomes also. Question 29. Assume in an economy currently operating at equilibrium level of output 5000 billion with a marginal propensity of 0.8. Hurry. So their YE is 5000. Sorry. And their MPC is marginal propensity to consume now 0.8. If the full employment equilibrium of this economy is 7,000, YF is 7,000, which of the following policy measures would ensure achievement of full employment? Okay. Meaning we are short of how much? 2,000 to bring the economy to achieve 7,000 from its present state of 5,000 billion. Right. So we need to basically create an increase in aggregate demand, hoping it will have a multiply effect and increase the economy's GDP from 5,000 to 7,000. Okay. So the multiplier of this economy, if MPC is 0.8, if we quickly estimate the multiplier, 1 divided by or 1 over 1 minus MPC. So 1 divided by 1 minus 0.8, that will be 5 times. 5 times. Okay. So since the multiplier as a concept is change in Y divided by change in autonomous expenditure. So I'll just give that idea. We'll say EA for autonomous expenditure, right? This is 5, the multiplier is 5. We are looking for a change in income of 2000. So we want to know what should be the change in autonomous expenditure. Is that clear? So if I continue to solve this, it will be basically 5 delta EA equals 2000. So delta EA, autonomous expenditure, would be, I'm waiting for you guys to help me out. Come on. How much? 5,000, sorry, 2000 divided by 5? Yeah, I want the confidence that you guys are doing this with me, but otherwise it's just sitting and watching a discussion is not going to help you. Okay? Right. Yeah. Okay. It's 400. Yes or no? Right. So we get 400 there. Right? Yes or no? Can someone confirm my answer? Right. Okay. Good. 400 there. Then in some of the questions, I can see, Putta, there is a autonomous tax or change in tax element also. So if I want to eliminate that, I might need to have the autonomous tax multiplier also. එකක් ටක් ගාලා හොයමු. KT is B divided by 1 minus B. B is minus B actually, 0.8. 1 minus 0.8 කියන්නේ 0.2. 0.8 divided by 0.2 is 4. Okay, 4. So if you take the 2000 and then divide it by 4, right? I'll just do it here. 4. If it's a change in autonomous taxes, 2000 divided by 4 is 500. If you want autonomous taxes change, autonomous taxes have to decrease by 500. Government purchases or investment has to increase by 500. Government purchase or investment has to increase by, 400. So these options only we need to be clear, right? 400 increase or 500 decrease. If it's tax, 500 decrease. If it's investment or government purchases, 400 increase. What is the correct answer then? Let's look at number 3. Increase government spending by rupees 500 is wrong. It should not increase by 500. 400 is enough. Decrease taxes by 500 is correct. Answer number 4. Okay. Any questions? Please ask. So I'm going to keep this frame for a bit, or this on the screen for a bit. Right. 13. If the government increase spending of rupees 600 billion and increase taxes of rupees 600 billion, both are increasing, by the way. So the increase in spending, that is basically delta G, increase in taxes, that is basically delta T. They are equal, so they will cancel off each other. That means we have a balanced budget situation, BBM, balanced budget multiplier situation. But even though the 600 billion government is spending is taken out on the other side as 600 billion of taxes, still we know there is a expansionary impact equal to one time the change in government purchases. So the economy's GDP will increase by 600 billion. How do I know this? Concept we are using here is BBM, balance budget multiplier equals 1. So this economy's GDP, right, will change by 600 billion. That is for sure. Will change by 600 billion. It will increase. Right? So GDP increase when known. These answers are wrong. Unchanged neme. GDP will have to increase. Budget is the G component and the T component are the same. So we can argue the budget is unchanged. There is no surplus or there is no deficit. Okay. So I'm going to go for answer number 5. I can see there are some questions. Let's see. No? No. Okay. Fine. So previous message I haven't seen. Right. So 30, answer number 5. 31. The data presented in the following table describes the relationship between disposable gross national income and aggregate consumption expenditure of an economy. YD, the disposable gross national income, disposable GNI, and aggregate consumption expenditure. Aggregate consumption expenditure. What can be deduced about the value of marginal propensity to consume in this economy? How do you calculate marginal propensity to consume? MPC equals change in consumption divided by change in disposable income, YD. So why don't you guys tell me if you calculate what you get? The MPC value. I think there's a question. I'll just attend to that quickly. So can you explain the 30th question again? Okay, I'll give it a very quick run through again. 30th question. First of all, in the 30th question, there is a balanced budget situation. Government is injecting, G is an injection in the circular flow model. Government is injecting 600 billion, but government is also withdrawing the equal amount. Tax is a withdrawal. So government puts in 600, takes out 600. Then someone could assume because the G and the T values are the same, there is no impact on the economy. They put in 600, take out 600. But we have learned that there is something called the balanced budget multiplier. Even though G and T values are the same, the budget is balanced or the budget balance is 0, still there will be a one-time multiplier that's called the BBM, balanced budget multiplier. So that's why I said even if G and T are the same, still the economy will expand one time as the change in G. That is how we interpret the balanced budget multiplier. That's what we have learned. So GDP will have to increase by 600 billion. Then the next thing is, what is the impact on the budget? The budget will increase by 600. The budget balance or the expenditure side will increase by 600 billion. But the income side will also increase by 600 billion. So the impact is neutralized. So no change in the budget. Is that clear? Okay. Right. 31. Hopefully you're clear with that. 31. Right. 31. So if you apply the values, 45 is the change here. Yeah, no? Yeah, that's correct. Then 60 is the change here. So we get 0.75. Am I right? 0.75. So what is the answer we can choose based on the simple calculation we have done? Answer number 5. Am I right? Any answer you want me to explain? Remember, MPC, MPS values don't change. Okay? They are constant. When we move upwards, downwards along the consumption function or the savings function. That means when disposable income changes. Okay? For MPC, MPS values to change, the curve has to shift. And that also proportionately. Even if they shift parallelly, their values will not change. 32. Which of the following is considered as broad money? Money in broad money supply. What is money in broad money supply? Notes, coins, and demand deposits. M2. Yeah. Sounds okay. Notes, coins, and demand deposits. That is, sorry, M1. That's wrong. That's only M1. Checks and savings deposits. No. Time and savings deposits held in commercial banks. But there are the demand deposits. Notes and coins are missing. Number 4, checks and fixed deposits. No. Number 5, notes and coins. That is CP. Commercial bank deposits. එතකොට එතන තියෙනවා both DDP and time and savings deposits. Both are taken together there. So number 5. Number 5. An increase in the presence of, preference. Increase in the preference of people to keep money in the form of money. Money in the form of money, actually it can be in two forms, CP and DDP, but very common form is this. This is the most preferred or the more common form to have demand for money, liquidity preference. Hari. Will occur when money supply declines, will occur when market price, GDP decreases. No. Their income, if you can take the GDP as income there, if GDP decreases, then what will happen is people will have less money. Demand for money will decrease. Income and demand for money positive relationship. When net domestic product decreases, we don't talk about net domestic product, we basically talk about GDP or income or real income. Will occur when the price of commodities decline. When the price of commodities decline, people will want to keep less money with them, not more money with them. Will occur when the price of financial assets begin to rise. Yeah, speculative angle if you think. Correct. Financial assets can be bonds. Right? If bond prices are rising, that means interest rates are, this will imply that interest rates are decreasing, which means the demand for money, especially based on speculation, will increase. Negative relationship. Yeah, answer number 5. Anything else you guys want me to explain? Let me know. Question 34. The following data are related to money supply of Sri Lanka. Money multiplier, money supply, currency held by commercial banks, commercial bank deposits held at the central bank, currency held with the public. Okay. Basically, you are given the money supply. So M1 CP plus DDP. Can we take that approach? Commercial bank deposits held at the central bank. No. We can go with the high powered money. H equals right. H equals CP plus CKB. Are you guys with me? Plus we have RR, commercial bank deposits at the central bank. I'll remove the brackets because we need the components individually. We are trying to find CP. CKB is currency held by commercial banks is 150. And MEA, commercial bank deposits held at the central bank is 200. Right. So high-powered money, we don't directly have the high-powered money value, but we can find it. How do you find high-powered money? Because simple M, money multiplier is money supply divided by high-powered money. Money multiplier is 5. Then money supply is 2,500. Okay, we are trying to find high-powered money. So you guys know how to solve this, I hope. So H will be basically 500. 2,500 divided by 5, 500. So going to make again a method, 500. So we have 500 minus 150 plus 200 is 350. This comes onto this side equals CP. So 150 equals CP. Correct answer would be no, hard work is done. The estimation is done. Would be number 3. Sorry, would be number 3. Okay, 150. I'll leave this for a few more seconds. Right, question 35. Okay, so that if anyone not in the live session, you could pause and just figure it out. Okay, question number 35, there's a big diagram. Okay, just wanted to make it very clear, so I've taken up a lot of space. The following diagram shows aggregate demand and aggregate supply of an economy. Okay, what could have caused the shift from AD1 to AD2? Shift from AD1 to AD2. Cause. The question itself has the word. We are looking for a cause, not an outcome. Increasing interest rates. If interest rates AD1 to AD1 to AD2 means it's an increase in aggregate demand, isn't it? So if interest rates increase, the components of aggregate demand like consumption, like investment will decrease and AD will decrease. We are looking for an increase. So that's out. Increasing government expenditure? Yes, very much possible. Right? G component increasing. Increased taxes, decrease in net imports. Increase in net imports. That means negative. Decrease in money supply. Yeah, correct answer number 2. Any other option you want me to explain? Let me know. Again, I just want to quickly check. You guys are clear? You can clearly hear what I'm saying. I'm audible, right? Very clearly. Quick response. Okay, right. Then 36. Assume one of the commercial banks in a banking system has cash reserves of rupees 20,000 billion, loans of rupees 30,000 billion, and deposits of rupees 50,000 billion. If required reserve ratio is 20%, what is the value of total new deposits of the banking system? Total new deposits of the banking system. Basically, we have to figure out how much loans they have. One of the banks. So I've given one of the banks information, right? one of the banks, but I'm asking the outcome in the banking system. Okay, let's do this quickly. Okay, let's figure out loans. So to figure out loans, 30,000. Yeah, let's see. Sorry, let's figure out the balance sheet. Sorry. So deposits, they have how much, Putta? 50,000. They have deposits 50,000. Then they have reserves at the moment 20,000. Okay. Then they have the balance is loans 30,000. This is their balance sheet. Are we okay? This is their present situation. The single bank. Right. Then do they have excess reserves? Shall we check and see? They have reserves, actual reserves of 20,000 minus they have deposits of 50,000, out of which they have to keep 20%. How much is 20% of 50,000? 10,000. Am I right? So they have to keep only 10,000, but for some reason they have 20,000, which means they have excess reserves of 10,000. But I'm asking new deposits of the banking system. So to find the total deposits, basically, let's take this 10,000 as the initial deposit and multiply it with the deposit multiplier. 10,000 into 1 over 0.20. That's the deposit multiplier. That's 5 times. So 10,000 into 5, we will have 50,000. So they will create new deposits of 50,000 as an aggregate outcome of the banking system. Number 2. Okay, I'm going to leave this for a few minutes, a few seconds at least. Ask if there's any clarification you need. We are okay? Right, let me grab a sip of water quickly. Right. Okay, let's move on then. Question 37. If both nominal national income and the price level double, there's not going to be any change in the purchasing power because both have doubled. Okay. So ideally, nominal income would increase. Yes, nominal income will increase. The price levels have increased. Then real income would be increased. Yeah, because even though the price levels have no, real income wouldn't increase. Real income is what will not change. Inflation exists. Yeah, because the price levels have doubled. Inflation is there. Relative price will increase. No, relative price would not change. Because the price levels and the income levels are both doubling. Because all the products prices are increasing. No? So comparatively, if you give the price between one product to the other, there is no change because all the product prices are doubling. Yeah, correct answer should be number 5. Both 1 and 3. Quickly check, Putta, is that what I have given? 37, 5, Bala? Okay, confirm? In the grid, 37, answer 5. Am I right? Are you guys there? No. You there? Yes, thank you. Right, 38. According to quantity theory of money, an increase in money supply causes a proportionate, direct and proportionate increase in price levels. Direct and proportionate increase in price level. Okay, there's a clarification. It's about question 37. Let me move this a bit. Okay. Do we have evidence to say what will happen to real income? Real income, is it impacted with price level changes? No, when we calculate real income, Buddha, we take nominal income and we divide it with nominal GDP or GNI, and we divide it with the price index, no, implicit price index, that is basically the change in the price level, into 100. Get it? So if both of the elements in the formula are doubling, what will happen? Nominal income increases, real income increases, sorry, nominal income increases, and the price levels increase. So would there be a change that we will see in the real income? You understand what I'm saying? If you look at the formula, nominal income divided by price levels into 100 or into the base year value. Is that clear? I think that is what you're asking me, right? Right. Okay. 38. The correct answer here should be according to the quantity theory of money, if money supply increases, there should be a direct and proportionate increase in the price levels. So the only thing we can agree here is number one, proportional increase in price levels. That is, if money supply increases by 10%, price levels will also increase by 10% under the assumption, in the quantity theory, we make an assumption in the short run, in the short run, velocity and real output or real income remains constant. Okay. 39. Which of the following is least liquid asset of a commercial bank? What is the least liquid asset of a commercial bank? Least liquid. Not the highest liquid, least liquid. Hopefully you guys have chosen answer number 4, loans and advances to corporates. If I ask for the most liquid, it will be answer number 3, cash on hand. The difference between merit and public good is that. What is the difference between a merit and a public good? Can you guys quickly find the answer for me? Difference between a merit and a public good. So it has been suggested as 4. Let's read that and see. Consumption of a merit good reduces the amount available for others, whilst an individual consumption of public goods leaves the amount available for the others unaffected. Basically, because merit goods are private goods, there is a rivalry in consumption or a difficulty to collectively consume. Is that clear? Right. So I'm going to go with that answer because it's logical. Hopefully you guys are okay to eliminate the other answers. 41. Which of the following is a reason for government intervention to correct market failure? When would you expect the government to interfere to correct market failure? To correct market failure. The most common reason for resource allocation market failure is the presence of externalities, whether they are positive or negative in production or consumption. Number 42, the goods which have non-excludability and non-rival consumption are basically pure public goods. Pure public goods. That's a textbook question. Pure public goods. A deficit financed by borrowing. Deficit financed by borrowing. What do you think? 43. Basically, the only thing we can say decisively is this: increase in national debt because the government is borrowing. Will always increase aggregate consumption? We don't know. Okay? Sometimes, even if the government borrows money and invests in the or spends it in the economy, that will not translate into people spending more money on goods and services. Also, we can build an argument this way: if the government borrows a lot, the demand for loans increases, interest rates increase, consumption may decrease. Consumption may decrease. Does not affect the national debt if the funds come from foreign sources. No. National debt is both domestic and foreign loans together. Number 4, always increases the money supply. No, that is when you borrow from expansionary sources, that is the banking sources, right? Central Bank of Sri Lanka, if that is prohibited or if that option is no longer there, then commercial banks. Number 5, does not affect mobilization of real resources. It does affect the mobilization of real resources, especially investment is affected. When the government borrows, it leads to crowding out effects. Number 44, identify the 3 public enterprises which pose highest financial burden on the government fiscal operations in Sri Lanka at present. So the correct answer, I think you guys have chosen number 5. Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, Ceylon Electricity Board, and Sri Lankan Airlines. The Ceylon Electricity Board, the people who have gone on strike, and some of their demands are economically, this is what we call absolute ludicrous or absolute, insanity, because there is massive losses, accumulated losses, and some of the CEB employees are expecting certain basic and other salary increments. I think at one point it's to be around 50% of an increase. So we have to understand the reality of things. Okay, big one entire leg of the government of Sri Lanka. Okay, if I use the analogy of the government as a person, right, who is trying to walk forward, who has to ideally run forward, because we have a lot of catching up to do in terms of economic growth, right? But we are still walking, not running. So when we try to walk, when we should be running, we are trying to walk. When we are walking, one of our legs is tied up to 3 big concrete blocks, dragging us behind, making it very difficult for us to move our leg forward and walk. There are many concrete blocks tied to our legs. One of the 3 biggest concrete blocks that is making it difficult to move our feet is these corporations making losses. 45. Identify the most used combination of domestic budget deficit financing sources and instruments in 2023. Instruments in 2023. So that would be, sorry. Right. Non-banking sources and treasury bonds. Because the more we use banking sources, that will lead to further inflation. So 45, number 1. Okay. 45, have I given number 1 in the answer sheet? Hopefully, yes. Right. 46. The quantities of 2 products, namely X and Y, that can be produced in America and Brazil using equal amounts of inputs are illustrated in the table. Okay. The correct statement according to the above information. So first one says Brazil has the absolute advantage in the production of both goods. Is Brazil producing more of both? Let's see. X, America produces 25, Brazil produces only 20. So that statement is incorrect. Right? Number two, Brazil has comparative advantage in good X. Number three, Brazil has comparative advantage. Now I think we will have to estimate opportunity cost to eliminate those. So output is given. So foregone divided by gain. If we are producing X, that means we are giving up Y. Henang opportunity cost is, opportunity cost is 15 divided by 25. Get it? Here the opportunity cost is 25 divided by 15. Start calculating. Here it's 10 divided by 20 and here it's 20 divided by 10. Give me the values quickly. What is the value of opportunity cost for good X in America? I'll write it here, Buddha, because I have a space issue. 0.6. Okay. Half 0.52. Right. Check the values. Are we okay? Are the values correct? Yes. Right. Now analyze them. Take the product and compare the two countries. Okay. Product X. America has to give up 0.6 units of Y. Brazil only has to give up 0.5 units of Y. So for product X, Brazil has the comparative advantage. Brazil has the comparative advantage of product X. That's answer 3. Answer 3 should be correct. For product Y, America has the comparative advantage. But there is no answer that is giving that. Yeah. Answer number 3, based on the evidence we have. Numbers. Numbers don't lie. Okay. Right. 47. Okay. 47. Trade in services is a sub-account of the current account of the balance of payments. Okay. Which one of the following items is recorded in this account? Export revenue from compensation of employees. Nope. Interest and profits earned. Nope. Primary income. Migrant worker remittances, secondary income. Receiving foreign development assistance, that will go into basically the capital account. Earnings from foreign tourists. Yep. Number 5. 48. Which of the following is a measure to solve long-term deficit of the balance of payment? Long-term deficits is ideally through one of the main things is export diversification. Next thing is we have to find import substitution industries and promote them. So overall, yeah, number 2, controlling the imports of non-essential goods is one step in the right direction. Anything you want me to explain, let me know. 49. If the inflation rate is high of countries which engages in foreign trade with Sri Lanka, then the inflation rate in Sri Lanka, okay, right? Nominal effective exchange rate is equal to the real, if no, that can't be. We are adjusting for inflation. Real effective exchange rate is higher than the nominal effective exchange rate. No, real effective exchange rate will actually decrease. Okay. The third one, the value of nominal exchange rate is high. No, nominal exchange rate is not affected by the inflation, but it's real exchange rate that is affected by inflation. Then we can compare that with nominal. Nominal effective exchange rate is higher than the real. Yeah, that's correct. Number 4. The value of the real effective exchange rate is higher. No. Real effective exchange rate, very when if our inflation is lower, that means real effective exchange rate will be lesser. That indicates something positive. Okay? Right. The way we interpret nominal exchange rates and real exchange rates are different. Okay? I have taught you guys that part very clearly. How to interpret changes in nominal exchange rates and real exchange rates. Question 50. The largest proportion of worker remittances come from Sri Lankan working abroad is from Middle East. Number 3. Okay. So that's basically the first paper. I want to quickly highlight a few things in the second paper before we conclude. Okay, hopefully you guys see Econ 2 on the screen now. Right? I feel that you need to show a very clear, technical knowledge in this question. So you guys can highlight this, okay, quickly. Right. So part 3, question number 1, part 3. Question number 1, part 3 and part 4 also. Part 3 and part 4. Question number 1, part 3 and part 4. Make sure you highlight them and put a bit of extra effort there. Question 1, part 3 and part 4. Question 2, always have a good answer, good way to explain this given goods, inferior goods, right? So question 2, part 2. Question 2, part 2. Question 2, part 2. Question 3, part 2. Question 3, part 2. Question 3, part 2. Question 4, part 2. Part 4, supply curve. It's a very common thing. Question 4, part 2 and part 4. Question 5, there are 2 questions from unit 4 in this paper. Question 5, part 1, part 2, part 3. It's basically the entire question. Okay? You need to be familiar with question 5. Question 6, part 3. Question 6, part 3. Question 6, part 3. Part 3. Question 7, part 4. Question 7, part 4. Okay, question 7, part 4. I'll keep asking this deflation, disinflation question, okay? It's a bit important. Part 5 is important. This you guys are now familiar, but just to be sure. So part 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. Question 7, part 3, 4, 5. Okay. Question 8. Part 2. Question 8, part 2. Okay. Question 8, part 2. Question 9, part 3 and part 4. Public debt sustainability. Another thing I will keep on asking you guys. Okay. Question 9, part 4. Generally know the status of debt and things like that. Question 10. Again, another thing I will keep asking, that Sri Lanka's ability to create a budget surplus. Okay, sorry, current account surplus. What am I saying? Current account surplus of the BOP. Yeah. So question 10, part 4. Question 10, part 4. Certain things repeatedly will be tested until you become really good with and master an answer for those questions. Is that clear? Until you do that, it will be repeatedly tested. So with that, we come to a conclusion of this mock exam 3 answer discussion session. So I hope to see you guys in the answer discussion session for paper 4. Okay, paper 4 will also focus on units 1 to 10 of the syllabus. So with that, keep studying. All the best.